Hi, Jillian. Oh, Jesus. Tried to pull forward and just pulled out my drawer. I haven't made a video in a little while. I'm not really doing anything super important right now. I did some cleaning, I did some rearranging. I finally hung up the pictures of you. Chesna got me some picture frames for Christmas last year because she knew how much I wanted to put up real-life pictures of things. But I didn't have a whole lot of physical photographs that I really wanted to put up. Most of them were pictures that relatives that I don't, bloodkin that I don't actually speak to sent to me. The kind of people who are like, oh my god, this is my first grandchild, and I know they're only 2 months old, but I already have 6 photo albums full to have all these pictures. And that's nice, I guess. I'm happy for you, but not only do I not know you, I know your grandchild even less. But since I got those pictures of you in the mail a couple months ago, I put them in the frames, and I was just trying to rearrange space on the walls to actually hang them up because we have a bajillion posters and art prints and a bunch of, I'm just looking around here for a minute. We have a lot of maps from video game walkthrough guide books up on the wall. I'm looking at Skyrim right now. When I was a teenager, I collected all sorts of weird things to put on the wall. I pulled ads out of magazines that I thought really neat. Sometimes I put candy wrappers up there if they had something particularly stupid or snarky written on them. I put a styrofoam lunch tray up on my wall once just because it had "Don't do drugs" embossed into the bottom of the tray. The kids are going through lunch. This is the perfect time to talk to them about drugs in the most lazy way possible, I guess. Either way, I put up the pictures that I have of you, and they're up around my desk, and that makes me a lot happier. In addition to trying to purge a lot of the belongings that I don't actually use, or t-shirts that I've grown out of a million years ago but didn't want to get rid of them because of the fictional character that they had on them for some reason, I'm finally learning to let things go. I know that I have a hoarding problem. Hoarding as in, like, I don't know if you know what hoarding is, but it's basically when people accumulate a lot of material possessions because they start to ascribe a lot of emotional significance to those possessions. They anthropomorphize them, which means they give them human traits. Like this one is important. This is so important. They they associate it. For me in particular, for some people, they hoard things because, like, or at least the reason that they give for hoarding that particular thing or group of things is, I might have use for this one day, maybe. And I've done a little of that, but for most of it, for me, it was hoarding things that were associated with a particular memory. Just a few months ago, when I was going through the process of purging some stuff, I ended up getting rid of about 50 or 60 ticket stubs from movies that I'd gone to see, because I was like, oh, I really want to remember the time that I went to this movie with this person. And the thing is, I can remember most, if the event was memorable, I can remember them just fine without needing that little scrap of paper. And one of the stupidest things was, I had been keeping them in a little photo album. There were primarily pictures in that photo album, but it was mostly there's 2-3 pages just for ticket stubs, and the ink had rubbed off of them anyway, so I couldn't even tell what the movie was or what year it had been, which means I certainly didn't know what person or group of people that ticket was associated with, but I wanted to hold on to it anyway because there was this part of me that was convinced that I was only going to be allowed so many good memories with people. So I had to keep every piece of physical evidence of those memories. Because I had so little hope for the future. And this is all when I was a teenager, mind you. And even though I moved past that particular negative kind of thinking, the habit was really hard to break. The first really big fight that Chesna and I had as a couple was over an Easter egg. And it was a fight that needed to happen. I mean, every couple needs to have like their first big fight, right? And it was what they call a nothing fight, where you're not actually fighting over the thing, you're fighting over the problems that this thing is a symptom of. And this was back in 2008 or 2009, and at the time I was living with a married couple. Like, the three of us rented a house together, and they're really cool people, and I still consider them my friends, even if we don't get to see each other that much anymore. But one of them had, for Easter that year, they dyed a batch of eggs, and they did an egg hunt with their friends, and they set one of the eggs, and these were real eggs, set one of them aside for me, and they surprised me by putting it on its little cardboard circular stand on my bookshelf in my room while I was at work one day. And I came back and I found it, and I was like, oh, is that, somebody remembers that I exist. Because, yeah, I still wasn't as secure as I am now, and I still have a lot of issues to work through. That's probably, every human being is going to have to do that for their entire life, but I hadn't, neither here nor there. The point was, I was still ascribing an assload of importance to physical things, whether or not those things were fleeting or lasting. And it got to the point where Chesna came over, and she was like, how long has that egg been on your shelf? Because it was like 2 months after Easter, and that egg was still there. I was so lucky that it hadn't cracked and just let loose this nasty cloud in my room or something. She was like, Heather, that is a rotten egg. This is literally a rotten egg that you've left sitting on your bookshelf for 2 months. You have to get rid of this. And I pitched a fit. I was like, you're trying to take away my things. It belongs to me. You don't have any right to get rid of my things. It's just because it's not important to you doesn't mean it's not important to me. And she was like, Heather, you don't need this to remember. You don't need this to know that they thought about you on Easter. All right? But I was convinced that I did need it. And we fought over it. And then we stopped fighting over it for we broke for lunch or something like that. And when I wasn't looking, she went behind my back and she got rid of it and she threw it away. Which was a good idea. I'm not saying that it's always a good idea to go behind your partner's back and get rid of something like that. This is entirely a case-by-case basis kind of thing. But in this case, Chesna made the right decision, because I was literally letting a rotten egg just to hang around and chill out in my room for who even knows how much longer it would have been there if she hadn't done something about it. And I was so angry afterwards. I was like, you hurt me. That was so hurtful. How could you do this to me? Are you hearing how ridiculous this is? Because I'm just recalling it from personal experience. And it was fucking ridiculous for me to insist that she was seeking to hurt me by throwing away a rotten egg. So yeah, I'm a lot better about not hoarding weird shit like that anymore. And that was a really big, turning point in our relationship, which was her way of communicating to me, you don't need these things to have proof that there are people in your life that care about you. There are some things that you're going to want to keep no matter what. And engagement rings, or the dress you wore to your prom, maybe, or this really amazing piece of artwork that somebody got you as a souvenir on a trip to a faraway land or something like that. And it is each individual person's right to determine what is worth keeping in their life in terms of physical possessions. But when they become an adult and every choice that they make has a consequence, they have to decide, they have to prioritize what things are worth keeping and what things really, really aren't. I kept receipts for everything. I kept candy wrappers. I kept the envelopes that holiday cards were mailed to me in, even if the envelope was totally shredded and I couldn't even read it. I would keep packages for things, like if I got a gift from somebody that wasn't wrapped in a box but came in one of those gift bags, I would keep the bag and I would keep all the tissue. I just recently got rid of a shit ton of that fancy tissue paper that came in gift bags because I was like, oh, our rats, they love that stuff, right? But they don't need, like, a little miniature rat grain silo full of tissue paper to last them throughout the winters to come. They really don't need that. It's not going to impact their lives if they don't have that tissue paper. It's going to impact our lives if it keeps taking up space in our room. So, obviously, I'm generally in a good mood. I replied to your letter. I mailed it, like last week or something. It takes me a while to respond to stuff like that, and I'm sorry. But, you know, I really like the idea of us writing letters back and forth to each other. It feels more intimate than just, you know, sending emails or something. I mean, you're 9. You're not going to have a whole lot of email access right now because I know you don't have internet at the house and I have no idea what your resources are at school. But I really appreciated your letter, and I carried it around with me next to the one that our brother sent me when he was still in basic training. I carried both of those around with me. And I know that seems like it's totally circling back to the hoarding issue. But those are things, not every letter that a family member has ever sent me has been something that I have determined is worth keeping. But those two are things that I have determined that are worth keeping. And for me, it's really empowering to be able to make a decision and say, this can stay and this can go. It reminds me that I have more control over my life than I think I do. Things like that, being able to exercise that power and being able to determine for myself what is and is not important to me, it's reassuring. And speaking of reassuring, I've actually gotten a hold of a decent therapist, and I'm going to be seeing him fairly regularly now, so I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm coughing way too much because I kicked up a bunch of dust when I was cleaning out some of the area behind the laptop. Getting rid of old mail. That's one thing that I'm still shit about is going through my mail. When, you know, you're a grown-up, you get mail from everywhere. You get mail from your work, you get mail from your doctor, you get mail from... I made the mistake of subscribing to 1,001 social justice and political sites online, and that would be totes cool if they didn't send me 1 million letters forever. I have a whole collection of socio-political bumper stickers. Like, I don't even know where I'm going to put these. We don't have a car. We have a scooter. Chesna doesn't want me to put any stickers on it because it'll fuck up the paint, I guess. She says I can put all the stickers I want on my helmet, though. So I'm totes going to do that. I'd like to get some antler decals. I think that would be pretty boss. Either way, I'm feeling pretty good today. And I look forward to your return letter soon so that I can write you another one. And that's something I really like. I would send you more gifts if I could. I think one of these days, I think I want to start sending you books. I already have a few in mind that I really loved when I was your age that I hope that you will enjoy. But I'm going to sign off for now and upload this and try to get all the dust out of this room. Who am I kidding? That's not going to happen. But I miss you and I love you, and Chesna is very happy for me that we've been able to communicate more, and things are looking a lot better than they had been the past couple months. Not that the past couple months were bad, it's just, you know, rough patch. Everybody has them. So I'm going to upload this, and I look forward to getting your return letter soon. And I love you, and have a happy Thanksgiving.